You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. This is the second year for the New Bedford LGBTQ Winter Film Series, which is kicking off January 27th at the New Bedford Whaling Museum, the auditorium there. Here to speak with us about the event is someone I haven't seen in quite a while till today, Liz DiCarlo, chairing this event. Great to see you again, Liz.
Always wonderful to see you. Thank
and
you,
joining Liz is Antonio Rodriguez, a member of the Winter Film Series Committee. Welcome, Antonio.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
First of all, folks, last year was the first year for this film series in New Bedford. How did it start? Give us a history lesson. Maybe we should start with you, Liz.
Yes, I was doing some consulting work with the Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, and we were sort of thinking about outreach to LGBTQ people for prevention activities. And it was really clear if we wanted to focus on particularly men who have sex with men as well as men of color, we needed to respect the idea that sometimes people aren't out and they really do not have a community of people to network with. And so we decided on sort of a micro-macro approach, and the macro approach was creating the LGBTQ Winter Film Series. There had been a very successful showing of a woman, transgender person who was at the National Park Center, and that was in November. And so we actually started this film series on a similar model with a panel discussion that followed our films in January. So it was a really quick transition for all of these community partners to come together and to identify films that they were comfortable in having shown last year.
And last year was a documentary films, I guess.
Yes,
Did
it was
it last
primarily
4 months?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We actually had a really wonderful selection from I Am Not Your Negro that really focused on James Baldwin's perspective on the civil rights movement. As an openly gay man, he really made a difference throughout that movement, although his sexual orientation wasn't an issue for the movement. It was something that it is who he is. And that really helped open it up for us. And then we moved into southwest of Salem that looked at some Latino women who were falsely accused and imprisoned for allegedly sexually assaulting some people, some young girls. And then another film that really was very powerful called Two Spirits, and that was of the Native American culture, how they embrace two spirits for transgender people. And the last one was How to Survive a Plague, which really focused on the HIV and AIDS epidemic throughout the early history of that epidemic in New York in particular.
Antonio, there's a new location this year. Tell us about that.
It got so big
Yeah.
and so wonderfully well known that the new location now is at the New Bedford Whaling Museum, and that's right downtown on 18 Cake Hill Road, I believe.
Johnny Cake
Hill Road, thank you. So a much bigger theater, much better place to park. So yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, last year's documentary film series was held at the National Park.
Absolutely.
Small theater,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 60 people.
Yep.
And this is a much bigger venue, although not a huge venue.
We had
237 people.
Okay, that's great.
And we had standing room only for all 4 movies, really. So we felt like it would need a bigger venue.
All right. For those who we haven't explained this yet, we last Sunday of every month there'll
Absolutely.
be a film shown 1 p.m. at the Whaling Museum for the next 4 months: January, February, March, and April. And it's not just a one-night event; it's spread out over 4 months. And how can people learn more about the film series? Is there a web page? Is there a Facebook page they can go to, Liz?
Yes, there is. The South Coast LGBTQ Network, who is one of the community partners. And I would like, if I could, Jim, just to mention the breadth of community partners who are participating. the Greater New Bedford Community Health Center, New Bedford Art Museum and Artworks, New Bedford Free Public Library, New Bedford Historical Society, of course, the New Bedford Whaling Museum, the New Bedford Whaling National Historical Park, Seven Hills Behavioral Health, the South Coast LGBTQ Network, the Women's Center, the UMass Dartmouth Center for Women, Gender, and Sexuality, the YWCA Southeastern Mass, and our newest members are Community Counseling of Bristol County and Health Imperatives. So it's a really broad spectrum of nonprofits who are committed to really foster understanding of LGBTQ culture and create networking opportunities and support for LGBTQ residents. So if anyone wants to find out more, they can go to www.sclgbtqnetwork.org.
And these partners, they don't just lend the support, if there's any financial support, I'm not quite sure what their role is, but they're going to be there. They're going to be there with their tables.
Absolutely.
And their pamphlets to provide information to the public.
Exactly.
It's really more than a movie. It's an incredible experience. We'll have post-discussions after the movie. Will be questions from the audience. We need audience to participate in that, obviously. We're also trying to bring resources so that people know where they can go for resources, bringing people back to services, really, and let people know where they can find some of the resources that they may need. We have many tables. I'm sure there's going to be
every organization's going to have literature.
There.
Yeah.
I know that the library, for example, one of the most recent collaborators will be checking out books actually right there and then, which is amazing. They'll be able to do that right there and then.
Yeah. They're bringing their selection of LGBTQ literature. It's very exciting.
So you're listening to Townsquare Sunday. My guests are Liz DiCarlo and Antonio Rodriguez, both members of the committee overseeing the second annual New Bedford LBGTQ Winter Film Series. Again, it starts January 27th at the Whaling Museum. What's the general tone of these films? I would suspect from what I've read, people living their lives, or is it about special events noted, special events that have happened in the LGBT community?
Well, one of the things that we noticed and that people wanted this year was more feature films. Like you had said earlier, we had a lot of documentaries. And I think we've kind of craved for that, and we've done that this year. I'm really excited about the first movie, which is Moonlight, which actually was an Oscar, won an Oscar in 2016. And this is a great movie about a human connection and the need to be visible. And I think it speaks to every single person who have ever seen any kind of movie. This is beautiful, really well done. It's like visual poetry. And it's one of my favorites, actually, in the series, even though they're all great movies. But this one kicks off about the life of a young man and how he needs to know how to be brave, how to be tough, how to be loved, how to love, and who's there to teach him that. So it's an incredible piece, and it's really well done. I'm really excited to have it be the first movie to kick off the series. And
the other movies, just so people know what's coming up?
Well, in February, actually, on February 24th, there's a very tender and funny love story of the adventures and struggles of an older lesbian couple. Olympia Dukakis actually plays one of the women, and Brenda Fricker. And they are facing lots of issues that relate to family dynamics, particularly when people are not married, when gays and lesbians are not married. And then as they head off on an adventure, they meet up with a young gay man, and the dynamics among them and his relationship with his family, it's both funny and very heartwarming at the same time. Mm-hmm. So that's February.
In March?
March, we actually have 3 Generations. It's a film about 3 generations, actually, and it's about a transgendered person who's coming out to the family and all that implies and all the issues that come up with that. It's an incredible movie. It's really well done. Susan Sarandon is in it, another superstar. It's definitely a great movie as well. Full disclosure, I think for Miss Liz DiCarlo, Cloudburst is her favorite movie out of the city. Every time she speaks about it, she smiles and beams. And then we have Pariah, which is the last movie in April. and that's also it won a lot of critical acclaim. Not necessarily really well known, but really well done. It's about a young lesbian who's completely assured of who she is and has no issues with that. But her biggest issue is coming out to specifically her mom and what that is and how that impacts her life and her relationships with her father and other friends. So it's also really well.
So how do you do a series limit? Sorry to interrupt, Liz.
Sure.
I'll let you make your point. Go ahead.
Okay, no, just in terms of Pariah, one of the reasons why we chose that movie was because it really helps people see how difficult it is when people have religious affiliations that do not accept homosexuality, as they refer to it, as a way to live.
How do you do this and do it for free? That's because there's no admission here.
Right.
You're welcome to come. Anybody's welcome to come. How do you do this with no admission? Because there is some cost, I would imagine.
There is, but that's the beauty of having community partners. All of our graphic design is done by Jamie Uretsky, who is at the Community Foundation. This would be thousands of dollars worth of payment to a graphic designer. Similarly, for the Whaling Museum, their contribution is the facility itself. Other community partners have contributed food in the past. We have to bring in a caterer now, so that's going to be covered. But we've been lucky in that the Lipsky Whitaker Fund at the Community Foundation has supported the film series from the beginning. And we really thank them for that. It is a fund at the Community Foundation of Southeastern Mass, and we're really excited about them stepping up again, as they always have, to accept community funds when there is a contribution from a local person.
It's collaboration.
That's really the story of New Bedford.
That's exactly it.
Not only for this organization, but perhaps every nonprofit.
Yeah.
Collaborating with each other is going to raise all boats, so to speak.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
There was a question recently posed on social media, which was asking the public an interesting question. And that question was, is New Bedford's arts and culture gay enough? Any thoughts about that?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is what it is. Yeah. New Bedford is a small city in what has been a very religious-oriented community, and the arts community, I think, has grown exponentially over the past couple of decades in particular, and that's very exciting. And gay people are part of that, just as they're part of everything else in the community. I mean, health and human service workers, business people, politicians, all kinds of folks are gay. So, who knows if the arts and culture community in New Bedford is gay enough, but I feel it is what it is. Yeah. It's growing.
And I think this is what we're trying to do as well with this film series, is to just have visibility and to create a platform where people feel a sense of community. And I think that's super important. I, at 43 years of age, did not have that at 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and had to look elsewhere and actually even leave New Bedford to find myself and feel accepted and have a much broader sense of where I could do and where I could be. And I realized that I could do that here in New Bedford. But it takes a village, right? And like I said earlier, you need to really understand that there are people that feel marginalized, and creating things like this, it's not just a social hour. It's an experience where people can come and be visible, be accepting, and understand that there is a broader community that will love and embrace who they are.
And I think we're seeing that in New Bedford's cultural community. There are people that are welcoming, who are urging people to get involved.
Absolutely.
No matter what their orientation is, to get involved, be a part of this community. And I think it's happening right before our eyes here.
Yeah.
Those of us who are older, I'll put myself in that category.
Me
too. We look at it, and for me, I'm okay with it. I think this community is changing, and some might say, well, not for the better, but yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a welcoming place. There are people here who are working hard to make this community better, whether it's education or government or the arts and culture, business. There's people working hard, and it's happening. It's happening right before our eyes. That's a good thing.
Well said.
And once again, where can people learn more about the New Bedford LGBTQ Winter Film Series? Where can they go?
Well, they can go to the web, www.sclgbtqnetwork.org. That's the place to go.
All right. Thank you very much. Liz DiCarlo and Antonio Rodriguez, good luck with this event. Thanks for coming in, and it's good to see you again. Good to see both of you.
Always good to see you, Jim.
Thank you for your
Thank you
support.
so much.
Townsquare Sunday continues in just one moment.